Hi guys, this is Shane Smolian, and I'm going to be talking to you today about retrograde planets and their effects on the market. So we track a lot of the transits that go on in the sky. So the transits are tracking how the markets ebb and flow according to the planets and their transits. And the markets do follow these transits pretty well and the cycles too. However, when planets make stations in the sky, the markets tend to act kind of strange and chaotic. So for those of you who don't know, a station is when a planet appears stationary from the viewpoint of Earth. So when you're looking up at the sky, you're going to see this planet that looks like it's frozen in the sky. And all that's happening is that from our vantage point, it looks as if it's making a stationary point and it's going to go backwards. And then at the end of the retrograde, it's going to go forward again. What I'm going to look at now is those stationary points and how does the market act around those points. And what I found is that the market tends to have these chaotic movements around those retrograde points, those station points. So I've evaluated these now into a new term that I'm calling single retrograde clusters because sometimes you have multiple planets making retrogrades within a small window, and that can create chaos in the markets. So that's what we're going to look at today, and that's what's in this video. So this is going to be on the single retrograde clusters. So I hope everybody enjoys the video, and let's get started. All right, so now we're going to talk about the single retrograde clusters. So this is what I was talking about on the chart. This is the new blue arrow. So these single retrograde clusters are dealing with retrograde stations, okay? And when planets make stations, they're making exclamation points. They're making a point to tell you something about the market. So this is an exclamation point and zones of chaos. So two things. So you might have a graph, a transit graph, that's showing a market that's supposed to be going up. Let's say you have a transit and you're looking, you're saying, okay, it's supposed to be going up during this time. But in the middle of that, all of a sudden you start getting these huge ripples like this in the middle, and it looks like it's kind of chaotic, even though it might go in that direction or may not. I think the reason that this is occurring is because of these single retrograde clusters. So anytime the planets are going forward, they make a station, they go backwards, they make a station, they go forwards, okay? So this is a station retrograde and this is a station direct. So what I've done is I did some videos last weekend talking about the effects of this on efficiency tests. But what I've done now is isolated the single most important days around the retrograde. And so instead of including the retrogrades with all type of other transits and it kind of drowns out the retrograde activity, I'm just looking at the retrograde activity now. And so this is so important. These are very high probability plays, and I feel that they're very good. And we can put these on the charts because they don't drown out the charts with tons and tons of information. They don't show up that much. They can, if they can cluster, but for the most part, they don't show up that much. And when they do, they're very high probability, okay? And I looked at these out of sample, like I stopped testing these back in August and it still kept working. Nothing changed on these. They're very, very stable, okay? So I feel like we have enough transits on all the other charts, general combined transits, the planetary speed index, CAT. This is just looking at retrogrades, okay, just to clarify. So this is the S&P. I'm going to show you some examples, by the way. This is the S&P of single retrograde clusters. So we had a bunch of retrogrades right near that high on the S&P, okay? So statistically, this said that you were, so looking at this day here, and this day here, this said that the next day should have been down hard, and it was. So what I find with these single retrograde clusters is that you get these huge swings in the market that look like noise. In this case, it looked like a topping pattern, but this was in alignment with the actual retrograde cluster pattern, okay? Here's another one. Now this one's interesting. This is the S&P. Hopefully you can see this. Let me see if I can zoom this a little bit more so you can see it. But this was the day. Remember we got that big reversal? I was on the show, Larry Pesavento's show, and it gave that huge reversal on Wednesday. Take a look here. This is when it looked like it was going down off the cliff and the Fed just was still in a buy. But look at this single retrograde transit here. Now you did have three of them here. You had two up and one down, but the one that's up here, if it's highlighted in bold, that's an 85% chance or higher that the market has gone up in the past when this occurred. So once again, you saw this huge swing up in the market with this specific cluster. Now on Friday, it was supposed to be an update too. It ended up closing slightly lower, but still kind of recovered on Friday and nothing major either way. But it is telling you that the market is weak if it couldn't rally on this transit cluster here, but super interesting that these big swings that we see are being described by the retrograde turning points. Again, exclamation points, zones of chaos, okay? Here's another one. This is gold. Take a look at this one here. So this is gold. So this is telling you that the next day here should be down, okay? And the next day is down. You see this? This is telling you that this is saying the next day should be up, and it's up, okay? This one's saying the next day should be up, slightly down. That didn't work there. But this is telling you here that this next day should be, well, this was kind of a conflict. Let's see. So this is saying this should be up, and it was up. This was saying it was down, and it still went up. But for the most part, the big moves that we're looking for are occurring with these single transit clusters. Here's some with silver. Take a look at this one here. It's saying that this next day here should be down. So this is saying this next day should be down, and it was here. There's nothing that's going on here. There's the weekend. This is saying that the next day should be down here, and it was down. This is saying there's big green arrows coming in here on the 13th, and it went up on the 13th. This is saying the next day should be down, and it kind of went flat that day. All right, guys, so what do you think? Those were the single retrograde clusters. That was just part of the video. If you want to see the full video, send me an email to shane@wolftraderfutures.com or go onto the website, and you can chat with me on the website at www.wolftraderfutures.com, and I can send you the full video if you want to see it. It's really, really interesting stuff. You can also reach us at www.fedjuice.com, because we track the daily Fed juice of the Federal Reserve on all of these different markets. So on each different newsletter, you get these updates daily on the website. So in addition to the monthly newsletter, every day you get updates in terms of what's going on with the Fed juice. And then, of course, you'll see the single retrograde clusters on those charts too. So if you want to check out more, again, head on over to wolftraderfutures.com and either chat with me directly, or you can sign up for any of the newsletters. And they're $39 a month, and there's a 7-day free trial on all newsletters. So go on over and check it up. Sign up today to get access to this material. All right, guys, that's it for this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.